you go.
Hello, everybody. Just going to share this out. Thanks for coming. There we go. Look at that. Just like we knew what we were doing. Good to see you. Thanks for coming, everybody. This is Metaphysical Meltdown, otherwise known as me and my weirdo friends, which we do this a few times a month and have been for, I don't know, since 2019, I think, maybe. Can't remember. And so we will be welcoming these two beautiful people here in just 1 minute. As soon as I say a couple things, which is not much. Hope everybody's holding on to your seat because the energy today is wahoo. Feels good out there, if you ask me. I went grocery shopping and it felt good out there too. So I don't know. Maybe I was hungry. I just don't know. So my name is Mary Beckman. Please share this if you want to, because these beautiful people have a lot to talk about. Lady in gray is Jody, and she's going to tell you about herself. She's going to say where she lives, maybe kind of, sort of. She's going to say her name a few times. She might tell a little bit about what she wants to talk about. She may not say anything. I don't know. This other beautiful lady is Kellie, and I do not know Kellie, although after I said to Jody today, I don't think I see your stuff. I think I do once in a while, but not much. I think it's just because there's just been so much going on lately that we have been super focused. I know I have. Pretty excited about 2025 coming in. I got a really great look at it today. So if anybody wants to talk about what you're seeing, otherwise, just go to town and say whatever you want. Go ahead and start. Whoever wants to, just say hi and let her rip.
Go ahead,
And yep,
Jody.
we're both going to defer to each other. No, hi everybody. I'm Jody Doty. There, I said it once. I guess I have to say it a couple more times. It's kind of like Beetlejuice, I guess. But Jody
Yeah.
Doty, Jody Doty. But it's really fun to be on here again. And yeah, the energy is a little crazy today. You know, you combine lots of big changes in the world with holidays and, Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. So that's my little take on the energy.
Awesome. You know who I was thinking about today?
Ooh.
It's our friend Linda Jollo.
Ah, yes.
And she
Yeah.
doesn't post a ton. Super interesting lady. Really good at what she does. She's a massage therapist and she knows stuff and she's just pretty cool. I was thinking of the time many years ago that we were all sitting together at Ocean Shores and I had a lady walk up to me, turned out to be a beautiful soul. But what she said to me was, I'd like a reading from you and I will pay you if you tell me the address of where I'm moving. And it was very slow that morning, and everybody started tuning in and listening. And I just let it go on because it was a beautiful view into human behavior, which I think humans are so interesting. And I just let her go on, and finally I just said, sit down. So after I talked to her, Linda says, actually, the lady was still there and everybody's still listening. Linda goes, clear the old-fashioned way. And she she waves her selenite. That's what I was thinking of. So if you chat with Linda, just tell her I said hi and I was thinking about her today.
I will do that. And by the way, Kellie also knows Linda
Oh,
Jello. We have met on a few occasions and under some real interesting, I don't know, UFO-ish kind of
oh
pull your
yeah.
body out experiences,
Uh-huh.
which I haven't thought about in a while. But yeah, we also love Linda.
Yeah. She's awesome. Oh my gosh, Kellie, were you the lady in the car when the spaceship came down to Jody?
Yes, that was
Oh,
me.
wow.
We don't know I don't know what that was, but we were definitely pulled out of our bodies for a few minutes. Yes. And I was driving, so that's even scarier. So
Isn't it
I
funny?
wasn't in charge for sure.
Sometimes we can drive that way, can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us who you are, Kellie.
I'm not sure right now. No, I am a number of things. I just retrieved a very tiny little dog that's been running around my property for the last couple of days. So today, right now, I am officially an animal rescue person. I am an intuitive medium. I talk to as many dead people as I do living ones, and some days a lot more dead ones than I do living ones. I'm also an author and a publisher. I have a YouTube channel. Someone this morning accused me of trying to save the world one YouTube video at a time. I'll take it. That's
Why
fine.
not?
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Why the heck not? Well, you guys, weren't you guys, now I don't know what I'm talking about as usual, but isn't Starvation Heights up there by where you were?
Yes.
Allegedly up there?
Yes. We were, yeah, in the Olalla area when we had
Yeah, yeah,
this little incident happen that I know I was, and we also had some other real interesting things happen just being in the area. The energy is very interesting. Lots of, and not just, I don't think UFOs, but I think just a lot of dead activity in general, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. So,
I think it's
yeah,
more interdimensional,
yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, that sounded really interdimensional that you guys were talking about. But and it does happen. You just drive through these places and then all of a sudden it looks different than where you thought. That has happened to me for years, and that was way
yeah,
before I knew what was going on. And I just thought I was an airhead or I didn't know. But now I know I'm just seeing other dimensions and it settled everything down for me.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's something that I have encountered throughout my life. Lately, it seems a lot more prevalent. I will be walking around outside on my property. I live in the middle of nowhere, so it's not like there are people everywhere. This is my nearest neighbor is a quarter of a mile away. So it's not like I'm going to see living beings walking, through. And yet I go outside and all of a sudden it kind of catches you as you go through and you kind of feel a resistance in the air, kind of is what it feels like to me. And then poof, you're in the middle of a Native American village. And I'm like, no, this is my driveway. But that's very, very prevalent out here, especially these days.
Do you live near Olala?
No, I'm actually in Arizona,
Oh,
temporarily. Yeah. Middle of nowhere.
oh my gosh, one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
I hope
Interesting.
I hope
It's
to get
interesting.
back. I had a situation with a lot of dead people around me. Well, today for sure, but a couple days ago, um, the room was filling up. I wasn't sure who it was because you guys know when you're reading somebody, you're super focused on the exact thing you're doing at the moment, and more keep coming in. And as long as they have a
Hmm.
beautiful vibe, you just let them come in. They're hanging out and probably belong to the person in front of you. And I kept thinking, is there a portal? Is that what are these? Who are these? Then I went, okay, hold on. A lot of dead people because the person eventually said what they were going to do for a living, and it made a lot of sense to why we were seeing so many dead. So we just assisted them. I mean, that's why they're there. They're coming to say, I would like to go home.
Yeah.
So it was very beautiful, but it was like, what am I thinking about? So I'm sure you've had all kinds of experiences in Arizona. I certainly have too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm the Chiricahua Mountains are pretty much my backyard, and so much stuff happened in this area particularly. This is the old stomping grounds of Geronimo and Cochise.
Mhm.
So a lot of the what they call the Indian Wars is right here.
Mhm.
When this was still Mexico, we had a lot of war between Mexican military and the Apache. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of stuff around here to pick up on. It's never a dull moment. Bisbee's not that far away. That's terribly haunted. Tombstone is not that far away. So it's a really cool area for someone that likes to do paranormal, investigations. And I do that as well. So people think that's why I lived here. That's why I moved here. That's not why I moved here. But it is a happy, byproduct of being here is that is all here. Didn't know it when I came here.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea how many dead people were in Pennsylvania before I moved here.
Yeah.
A lot of dead people. Because you'll be driving down by the Walmart, there's a graveyard and a church and a super old house and a Wawa. I mean, it's just everywhere. There's a little place where we get on the freeway down here, and there's a graveyard right there off the side of the freeway, all fenced in. And I didn't know why we were here, but I know why we're here now.
Right.
And able to see what's going on out that window right there. and really appreciate being here just for that fact, just to be here to support whatever that's going to turn out to do. So you ladies,
with lots of snow.
Yeah, we don't have a thing here. It's dry here. There's nothing. No, because
okay.
These guys up here in Pennsylvania, over by New York, those are the guys that got all. We're down.
Oh, so you didn't get all that.
No, we're down by
good.
Delaware, by the Mason-Dixon line. It's warmer here.
Okay.
That's my theory anyway. People
there
keep
you
saying,
go.
oh, it's been a long time since it snowed. I wonder if it's going to be. I'm like, shh.
Yeah. Don't say anything.
Yeah, we're ready though. We have a snow thrower, so this year we're ready. But you guys are here to talk about something very, very special. Two things. Your project together. Can you tell us what that's about?
Yeah.
It's about kindness. This is sort of my way of putting good out into the world, starting with children. You have to teach the kids. Most of the adults, that's why it's a lost cause. You can't teach them anymore. But kids is where it starts. I actually had a dream several years ago now that I was in a theater and I was watching my movie on this big screen. And I went, whoa, that is fascinating. I wonder who's going to write that. And they said, you are. And I went, no. And it stayed with me. And I woke up and I started writing the books. Laylee is deaf, does not slow her down a bit. Originally, the series was about a little boy. Mm-hmm. My grandson is deaf. When I wrote the first book and sent it to my daughter, she said, how dare you out your grandson is deaf? I'm like, they're going to meet him and know that he's deaf. But okay, I get it. Invasion of privacy. So I changed it to a little girl. And it's about her feeling different and finding a way to be happy because of that difference. I really do believe that her being deaf enables her to have that ability to talk with the animals. And she makes friends with the animals in her jungle where she lives. This is set in Thailand. It's all about love and kindness and acceptance and friendship and compassion. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the books. Book 4 was just released in August. It's Monkey Mayhem, which anyone who's been near Thailand can tell you the monkeys are kind of vicious there. But that's pretty much what it's about. We are working on an animated movie based on the books. It is not, and I've had this question a whole bunch of times, it is not the books in movie form.
Right.
It is based on the books. But there is a whole lot that's going on in this little girl's life between making friends with the elephants and then later on trying to find them in the jungle. And the movie kind of fills in those gaps. It tells a little bit more about her life in general. The movie is more about what do we do to help the animals? What can we do to protect the environment? What can we do to show everyone that this is worth caring about? these are things that are part of the planet we live in or on, depending on who you talk to. But it's a story about putting good out into the world. I think it's really timely. So it does start with the books, but hopefully we'll get the movie out in the next couple of years too. That'll be an extra, on top of the books.
Can you show your books a little longer? Because the
This is book one.
yeah.
It's Making Friends. Book two is The Big Search. Honestly, this is my favorite book out of all of them. I thought maybe Monkey Mayhem book four would take that over, but no, I just like the idea of this little deaf kid running around in the jungle searching for her elephant friends really gets my heart. So that's still my favorite book. And then there's Smoke, which is about a forest fire, which
Okay.
happens in our rainforests all the time, all around the world. I don't have a copy of book four in front of me. I thought I grabbed it, but this is the easy reader version of
Oh,
book one. So because the initial person who was formatting the books, because she looked at these not as a children's book, but as an art project,
uh-huh.
the script is kind of difficult for kids that are just learning to read to
Okay.
read. So I did an easy reader version that has, bigger, simpler font.
Gotcha.
So that's that's what that is in a nutshell. Um, Jody is my partner, as somebody said the other day, in crime, but in the Laley Project. um,
Yes.
and it really, the project in my mind has kind of taken on a life of its own. It's kind of become bigger than us, I think.
I
Has
think so.
anybody noticed that Laylee looks like you?
No, it's funny.
Wow.
I know, nobody's ever pointed that out. Um, the illustrator is just absolutely incredible. Her name is Paulina Hertzgova, I think is how you pronounce it.
Okay.
She's Ukrainian. Um, I found her through the initial person who was formatting the books. And I just kept that illustrator because I mean, she's fabulous. It's just incredible what she does. So it's sort of a multinational project at this point. We have a
Yeah.
composer from Spain.
Mhm.
I have women working on the project. We have people of all sorts of colors, you wouldn't believe,
Hmm.
working on the project. It's just all around the world. We have promotional people from Africa, and then all over the US. So that's been fascinating to me too, to see how we can
Hmm.
put together this project about love and kindness and acceptance. And we've got all these different kinds of people. And that's really exciting to me.
Have you guys heard
Yeah.
of Sacagawea?
Yeah.
Sacagawea movie, The Wind Catcher?
Yeah. Jane
Um,
Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember she was on Jupiter Rising when I was still there, and this was before it became a film.
Yeah. She's been working on that project for years and years and
Yes,
years.
yes, and it's won all kinds of awards and stuff.
Yeah.
So keep
Oh,
going.
yeah.
Jody, what do you have to say about Laylee?
So, how I got involved in Lately initially was way back when Kelly had this vision or this dream. We were talking and she said, I had this vision, and all of a sudden I saw Laylee. I saw this little girl with an elephant, and she was talking to the elephant with her mind. And I got immediately that she could not talk, but I was so attracted to the communication. the silent communication between Laylee and this little girl and this elephant. And I said to Kellie, I don't know what this is, but I love it and I want to be a part of it. So, and I did also have a flash of a movie, of a scene in a movie, which I have had that same flash of the same scene, oh, countless numbers of times, even recently. So I just knew in my heart that this was a very important project, and that was well before. That's when she was first writing the first book.
Yep.
So I have a great, it just tears me up. I just have a great passion as well. This is our passion project, our heart project, about interspecies communication, unconditional love, species coming together. And, there, like Kellie said, there's no greater need than right now. I really believe it. And it also begins with our children. So, but it affects everyone. The books aren't just for little kids. They are about heart and love and kindness and acceptance. They're qualities that we all can take to heart.
Yeah.
Well, I'm loving looking at children's books right now because they are fun and interesting, and there's some spiritual ones out there. I remember when I was young seeing where the wild things are,
Mm-hmm.
that one.
Yes.
And so when you can interest young kids in reading, a lot of times that's a habit that will take you all the way through adulthood. I saw something today as I was looking at social media this morning. Somebody shared a meme about, I don't even think it was a meme. It might have actually been from somebody who knew something. And they said, if you read a lot as a child, that sometimes you were getting yourself out of, oh, what do they call it? Dissociating.
Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
remember that is about all I did as a kid was read. And it took me to those fun dimensions that now I don't have to read it. I can just do it.
Go there. Yeah.
A really fun fairy tale I read lately is Stephen King's book, Fairy Tale.
Mm-hmm.
Not for kids.
No.
Just the development in there, his characters and his scenes and it was cool. It was really cool. So, is there a guide that is an older lady that's around you guys about that movie and book?
I've been told there are two older women around me with the book. I kind of ignore them, quite frankly, lately, because I have other guides that are like right here in my face. So they sort of take my attention away. But I do have, she was my second grade teacher who has become one of my guides.
Mm.
Um, Her name was Lily and Molly. We called her Meanie Molly. And she still allows me to do that. So I still have her. Um, the other one is an ancestor of mine. I haven't quite figured out exactly who she is. She is back further than a great great grandmother.
Mm.
So she's like an ancestor. But lately, I've had a whole bunch of beings, mostly multidimensional beings, um, that have been coming through and like, you need to do this now. And I'm like, and I argue with them. I argue with my guides. I fight with them. They think I'm very humorous. I allow them to laugh. I am their comedic, you know, vacation. They talk to me when they want to argue with someone, I think. But it's just a never ending cast of characters around me since June. So that's
So
been.
what happened in June? And then I want to talk about Grandma before we leave. Go ahead.
Oh,
What
I died. I died, but I'm fine
Just,
now. Yeah.
just a little thing.
Small bump in the road. Yeah. Um, but since that happened, I can think of another dimension. I have to be real careful not to, because I'll go there. you know, or I will leave my bedroom in the morning and go around the hallway and I'm like, this is not my house. You know, those kinds of things are constantly happening. The other night, I have a friend that lives in Southern California, and he said, did you just turn off my lights? I said, why? And then I had to think about it. I went around a hallway in my kitchen and my hand hit the wall and turned off lights that were not there. That's not where my light switches are, but it's where his are. So apparently I turned off his lights. Um, you know, those kinds of things have been happening constantly since then. And I keep asking, is this going to stop? And they're like, why? Why? You want it to stop? Why? Why would you want this to stop? So yeah, been interesting.
Wow. So why did you die and come back?
Why I came back, I'm still wondering. It's it started with an infection. I have lupus, and I had an infection in my mouth. I still have a scar on my cheek. It went into my blood and went into my heart and made my heart stop. Now, at any point during that time, and I've been to the doctor 3 times asking for antibiotics, they wouldn't do it. They didn't think I needed antibiotics. But at any time, they could have stopped that, and they didn't. So I died. It took 2 ambulances and a helicopter to get me to the heart hospital where I died anyway. You know? I actually died once in an ambulance, and then twice I coded in the helicopter. Um, it was not scary to me at all. I was actually very peaceful. It was actually very, you know, I was fine. I was like, I'm sitting on, I knew I died. I was sitting on the skid, the landing skid outside of the helicopter while they were taking me to that. And I remember people working on my body. And I remember looking back and I remember, what a beautiful view. I wish everyone could see this. It's just beautiful. You know, the lights from up at this height. And then I realized there was an angel on either side of me. And the second I saw them, I was in a tunnel. And it was like clouds. It was like plasma all the way around. For people who don't know plasma, it was like a cloud. It was a tunnel like through clouds. And yes, there was a very bright light. God did not meet me. 2 of my friends that have crossed over did, and a whole bunch of animals, whole bunch of animals. And I asked where my grandmother was, and here she comes riding up on a horse. And I'm like, well, geez, you know, only I could have a deceased grandmother riding a deceased horse to come and meet me. But it was, you know, and I heard someone calling me. I heard a voice calling me. And my friend, Sam, his name was Sam, he looked at me and he said, you know, I'd love to let you stay. We would love to have you. It's been wonderful to see you. You can't miss out on that. And he's pointing down, and all of a sudden it was like, whoosh. I was dragged backwards, back through the tunnel, back through everything. And I was in a hospital bed. And you would think, I thought, nurses and doctors would have at least once in their career had someone that they thought was dead come back. They were not prepared. There was screaming and shrieking and, you know, all manner of things. And I went, all right, bad timing, and went back out. And then they had to bring me back. But my reaction was, oh, they're not ready for this. Okay, I'm going now, you know. And I came back, but for 2 days, I wasn't back. I was alive, but I wasn't back. You know, they were having different clergy people come and talk to me during those first couple of days. And I had a very long conversation with a Catholic priest. And he was just listening to me and listening to my beliefs. And we were having this wonderful chat. And then the next day, the Catholic priest came in. And I said, well, where is the other guy? And I asked for him by name. And he said, He's been dead for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
So I had this long, wonderful conversation in the hospital with a deceased person. And there was a little boy who was running around, and he kept telling me he liked my wings. And I was, well, I like your wings too. I mean, what do you, this is a little kid. And I found out after I was discharged that he was also dead.
Ah.
So even during the hospital, I was still talking to dead people. And it just,
Well, some people have a hard time retiring. You know what I mean? Wow. That is quite
Yeah.
a story. That's interesting to hear that the medical professionals were yelling and screaming, though.
they had no idea I was going to come back, I guess. They had a death certificate filled out for me, except for the actual time. And surprise, And I just, to me, with the life I've had, it was like, oh, that was interesting. And everyone around me is freaking out, and I'm going, huh, that was really interesting, fascinating, huh? And it was just, I got home, and people weren't sure how to. It's like I had changed,
Yeah.
and they weren't quite sure how to deal with me.
Do you think you have changed?
Oh yeah, I know my energy has changed. I know my aura has changed. I've had Carillion photography. I have a friend that does that. And I went from, purples and blues and greens, like, a lot of spiritual people have, to pink and white and gold. And I'm like, pink is not my color. I
Mm.
have never liked the color pink, but apparently that's where I'm at now. Um, it's just, you know, so I say I died, but I'm fine now, really.
Yeah, yeah. What have you seen, Jody? How has your friend changed?
Well, I think she has become a little even more angelic. I think there's more of a focus. I mean, Kelly's always been a very loving person, but I think it's just that wanting to spread the love, share the love. I think in some ways too, that's part of the reason she came back was for this project too, because it's so important to her to just that we remember to be loving and kind to each other. And I think that only emphasized and kind of lifted her into even more of a loving countenance than she had before. And I think also for people, she's always had a great love for animals and rescue. And I think people have always, a lot of times, let her down. And I
Yeah.
think in some ways, she's more open to the connection with people and with being loving um, as a unity of all of us, not just, with her friends. So yeah, it's definitely raised the bar for her. And I also know that, she's very gifted um with her clairvoyance and her gifts, and they've also changed too, because there's a lot with like seeing future, past, and all things, priests, two priests at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to hear how her gifts have even expanded as well. But I'm really thankful she's here. I will say I called her actually at the hospital. I did get a text from her when she called the paramedics that said, I hope they get here in time. So it was fr freaked me out. It was very scary. Did a lot of prayer. I don't think she remembers very much of the first couple days, do you, Kelly? But
I was
um,
so here.
she wasn't really in her body, but it was interesting because I called the hospital when I finally found out where she was. And they asked her, and I'm not sure how, but they asked her if it was okay to talk to me, and she said, she said yes, emphatically shaking her head. And then I started talking to her, and she was talking, but I have no
Speaking a
what
different
dimension
language.
or what language or where she, where that came from, but I did not understand a word that she said. but I just spoke from my heart, and I was still at that point, it was very touch and go. And so I think she was still kind of deciding, even with and then, and also the medical uh, stuff did not help her, where if they'd only given her the antibiotic. But I think in some ways, this was like a lot of things in her life, it was meant to happen. There was a reason. And I think it just buoyed her mission and her love of getting her love out into the world. So in that way, it's a beautiful gift, if not very scary, especially for those of us behind that are going, what is going on? I was very relieved when I got her text at late in day 2, and it made sense to me. I could understand what she was. So I'm like, oh, she's back. She's
Yeah.
going to be okay. But yeah, it was very scary. But yeah, I think we always change after those kind of experiences. I had a near-death experience when I was a baby. I was a year, but I had a regression, and I have gone back to that time a few times. And I know, in fact, Kelly and I were just talking about that. It is definitely a reset for you. I think everything culminates to that point, and then you reset and go. In my case, I think my whole mission of why I'm here in body changed at a year from one thing to another. So to kind of a similar thing where I'm not just here to kind of heal myself and my family. My mission is kind of to help heal the world in a however I do that in a kind way. And so it became a bigger mission in a way than what I started out when I was born. And this was only at a year. I had a medical reaction and my heart stopped for so many seconds. And obviously they revived me. But yeah, I think it's a reset. I think every near death, it does something to you where it just takes you from one level and jumpstarts you into a whole new mission or a whole new appreciation too and gratitude.
Absolutely. Even a big move or a really big illness or something that makes you stop and realize, okay, here I was one person and here I'm another person. And I find those lessons very valuable.
I find it quite chaotic
Yep.
some days.
So, Kelly, since then, have you been resting and recovering?
I got book 4 out after I came back. I'm
It's
like, you know
actually
what? I need to get this book out now. I may not be here next week. Let's do it, do it, do it. So yeah, that's what I did.
it's a trick question because you fell right in my pit that I made for you.
I know, I know.
Because that's what Grandma was saying is if she could just sit and watch the colors for a little bit, be awesome.
No. Not
Ah,
me.
What everybody just heard you say was, I got people in my face all the time. And what Grandma is saying in that small still voice is, could you possibly sit here and look at the colors and paint for
Of
you?
all the people in my face, that one's more blue. This one's more green. That one's brown. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to do more of that, but it doesn't work with my life. I really do have a lot going on. And I know why. I know why. And it's because there was a lot of years where I didn't do anything. I was very, very sick for a very long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I was over 300 pounds at one time, and I couldn't really move.
Mhm.
I lost a kidney along the way. So there was a lot that I had dreams and plans, and I couldn't do any. So once I started getting healthier, we'll never be healthy, but healthier, um, I started, and it's just like, okay, now is my time. This is what I can do, and that's where I started again from. But
Oh,
I started over my entire life. This is the third time. when I started out, if I had known where I would end up, and I'm not done, so I haven't ended up anywhere. But if I had known where I would be now, I would have, you're absolutely insane. I was such a city girl. I grew up in Nowheresville. I grew up playing in the creek and running through the woods. When I got out of my mother's house and my grandmother's house, I went to the city. Like, I'm a city kid, you know. And for me to be, excuse me, in the middle of nowhere now, my younger self would have said, "Ah, you have lost your freaking mind. What are you doing there?" But I think I had to come here away from all of that so that I could heal and so that I could do this book series and that project and the other things that I'm doing. It wouldn't have happened had I stayed in San Francisco. It wouldn't have happened.
Oh gosh. Well, that's a completely different vibration, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Wow. Yeah,
Yes.
because Arizona is so spiritual. Oh my gosh. And can you also feel some odd energy there that maybe might be a little, yeah.
Oh, always. It's always here. There were some really dark things done around here, and it has soaked into the soil. One of the, I do paranormal investigations out here, and one of the most common calls I get, or the people that I work with get, is there's a skinwalker over here.
Oh,
And we go, and it's once it was a skinwalker. Most of the times it is not, no, it's not a skinwalker. We have so much blood that was spilled on this land that a lot of that pain is still here. And
yes.
sometimes that pain animates itself.
Yes, ma'am.
And we get creatures. We'll call them creatures.
Yeah.
And it comes from that pain. So that's always here. I have Border Patrol that will tell me constantly that they will catch people before they enter my property because something scares them off.
Oh,
So there are also protective things out here, and they may look scary to someone who is trying to, perpetrate a crime, I guess, for lack of a better term. But usually they're very protective. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff around here. I just walk around at night and go, "Hello, yep, see you too. Hi, yeah, go
yeah.
move. I'm coming through. Move, part the way." And that's kind of how I deal with it because nothing has scared me yet. When I was a little kid, I was seeing things. Nothing has ever scared me. I've always been more of, that's interesting. Where did that come from? So yeah, I just let them be.
When is your birthday?
Mine is I'm a Libra, October 10th.
Oh, okay. All right.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, when I see those things that you were describing, I usually send them off right over here. I always call them right side people or things.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they just want to stay and
And,
and talk or emote, you know. Um, our group did an awful lot of work with stuck souls, folks that are indigenous that were stuck for, hundreds and hundreds of years. And
yeah.
that's really where my heart lies, and did a lot of work as we were passing through Arizona and different places. And I think it continues here in Pennsylvania for sure. Um, yeah, there's no end of trauma that still is needing to be released. But I have to say, a lot better because there
Yes.
are a lot of people now that are assisting in that way, that have a heart for peace and for love and for assistance, that take the time every day to do just that, and not make ourselves tired while we're doing it. I had to learn that because of being, angelic. Part of me is that, and to stop when it was time to stop personally and just go outside and smell the air. Of course, you got to be careful. Lancaster County, it's kind of smells like poop. Um, uh, but just to go outside and see the beauty is a big part of the day. Just to rest a little bit. But so, what about the future? I would be remiss if I didn't ask what you guys are seeing for 2025.
A movie.
What's that?
A movie will be
A movie.
Yes. Yes.
Beyond that, because I'm seeing that too. Everybody's going, yeah, yeah, the movie. Your people, they're going, yeah, yeah. So that sounds really awesome. What do you see for the world, though? Is what I'm saying. The United States, or I mean, we don't need to do politics or anything unless you see something awesome. But just how things might be unfolding.
I know a lot of people out in where I live that are not of the Christian persuasion who are terrified.
Oh,
They are afraid to leave their houses. They are now online. They've got podcasts and books, and all of a sudden their names are changing. And it's terrible to feel that kind of fear. And what I've been doing is trying to say, don't feed the fear, send it love, send love out into the world. So far, nobody has come to my house. I haven't had villagers with pitchforks and torches yet. So, I think you're maybe a little premature on the fear thing. But I'm seeing that, and it's so sad to me
so what's
because,
the Christian perspective, though? Because I see a lot of people who say, I'm a Christian and I'm scared about this and that and him and her and all that. What's the difference for you?
well, where I live,
Uh-huh.
the rural parts of Arizona
Okay.
are very, 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 very conservative, red, very conservative, very conservative. I cannot get anyone to help me at my house because I don't belong to their church.
Oh, okay.
That kind of conservative.
I understand.
Mhm.
Now, does that sound Christian? That doesn't quite sound like it to me.
I don't know. It's been years since I've done labels because
Yeah,
I certainly don't label myself and I don't label other people. I think that's why I found a lot of success here in Pennsylvania is I found a lot of people who don't either, you know.
right.
Um,
Yeah, and
I think understanding a person as a Christian, that word means something different to different people. Labels mean different things to different people. So I
yeah,
just
right.
kind of don't do the label. But as far as what is scary and what is not scary, I do believe it has led up a little bit in the last few weeks. Don't know if you've seen that. So there has been the big old thumb down on us for a long time, and that this year kind of just went no. And I'm not talking about politics because I just don't. It gives me
Yeah.
hives. Politics and almonds give me hives. So that changed. So I look at the world every day, but I look at it specifically on Monday. It's a world viewing day of the week. Just see how everybody's doing. Okay, and so when I'm looking today's Wednesday allegedly. When I read the world, it's pretty darn open. When I read the collective, my collective, they're pretty darn open too. When I read how much energy is coming in right now, because you guys know that energy that's coming in is kind of there's a boatload of energy coming in right now.
Yep.
And people are cruising through that one way or the other. They're either going, oh no, or they're going, wow, this feels great, or they're having diarrhea, or whatever they're having. Something has changed in people. Do you agree, Jody?
I do. I agree there's a shift for sure. And I still have my own little nightmares, but they do tend to be more political, which is ironic since I never share anything political on my page because it just increases the energy and it's just not what I'm about.
Yeah.
But I notice personally I do have some nightmares politically, but overall it when I look at I still see the good. I still see that higher light. I still encourage and do energy work in my, I know I'm doing it in my sleep of, let go of the fear and let's bring that love in. Let's own it instead of, all the negativity that, we kind of have been through a period of grief and shock and all kinds of, human emotions. But aside from that, we have to get back to, who we are and why we're here. And I don't think it's to be angry and afraid.
So let me just
No,
ask you.
there are some people that just thrive on the fear thing, though, and that's a
Yep.
lot of what I see every day is that is very prevalent in this area. Um, we have here, and I think rural areas are very, very different from a lot of
Yes.
other areas because what we have here is everyone is very kind to your face. They're going to walk 6 feet that way and talk bad about you to this other person over here. I've heard them do it.
Mm.
And that's what you get in a little tiny area. There is a rule. When I bought land here, the real estate agent told me there is a rule here. If you do not hear a rumor about someone before 10 a.m., you have to start one. And that's kind of what it is like around here. And there's a lot of that. And most of the time I find it hilarious. I find it really, really funny. But when I get other people that I know coming to me saying, oh, you wouldn't believe what this person said. It just, it kind of heal that. Okay, and heal this too. I don't leave my property anymore because I'm having to heal people. And I don't want to get like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know people who are like that now. And I kind of, no, you can't be like that. You can't let it win. You can't let it win. You have to be open to the love and you have to see, you're going to find what you're looking for.
Yeah,
If you're
that's
out here
true.
saying this person is hateful and that person is, what about the people who are doing good? There's a bazillion of them.
Yeah, there sure is. And it's interesting how you put it, Jody, as you said, we went through this period of grief and we're realigning and all that. Let's look at the last few months or the last month, whatever month it is. I mean, it's December, supposedly. Um, let's just look at it that way. There's a lot of people who got exactly what they wanted, and they're
Mhm.
still pissed, and they're
Yeah.
still angry, and they're still fighting, and they're still doing the wah wah. The wah wah is complaining, not crying. Crying's good. Wah wah is a waste of time, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
But you know what? I just didn't. I just choose not to go there because I figure anybody's opinion of mine is not my problem. It's not my,
Right.
whatever people are saying is none of my biz. And so it's cool though, once I got here, everybody's really nice around us. Our neighborhood's really super nice. They'll go out of their way to help you. It's not that small of a town, but it's way smaller than Tacoma. And
Wow.
it's way different here in a lot of ways. And so I'm
Hmm.
appreciating the difference. Tom and I were just talking about that, all the cool things that happened to us on our trip here, because it took 10 days to get here. So we had something cool and amazing each day happen. And we were thinking, wouldn't that be cool to go back and do some of that again and throw the dogs in the back and, travel? Because what I found traveling through all of those states is that I was not scared one moment. And I was out in the middle of the night finding food. I was at sketchy places to stay because we stayed at all kinds of different places and we just didn't know what they were going to be like till we drove up to them. We didn't know.
Right.
And I
Hmm.
joked that one motel, the only stars that described them, that motel was above. That's how bad it was. But I had one of the very best experiences there because I went out to find food and it was really late that night. It was like, I don't know, 11:30 something, looking for food. And I went to the Subway and I was their very last person. But before I found the Subway, which was way down on my list because I really don't eat fast food, but it was the only thing open, I'd gone to this bar. And because I thought they made food, and the guy goes, I'll make you a drink. And I told Tom, this one scary bartender, man, I couldn't get out of there quicker. But I did not feel worried or anything. And I was driving around and getting out and cruising through. I had no fear whatsoever. I felt like that little town was going to be just fine.
Yep.
And the little town called, I don't even know how little it is, but it was a place we landed, which was called Custer, Wyoming. I sat there with this dude. He was probably 80 something. I sat at the bar with this dude waiting for my breakfast, and he told me all about Custer, Wyoming, all about this series that was, there's a movie or a television series that's in that town. So I met people, all walks of life, male, female, little kids, older kids, everybody. And everybody has been unbelievably kind to me because I'm not looking for a fight. I'm not looking
Right.
for a fight. I'm not going to prove my opinion. I'm not going to talk about anything that's not really super exciting to me. So I might just go right up to somebody and go, "Did you see that UFO?" And so far, people are like, "No, but man, that hail last night, you know." And so I was watching this podcast. You guys got to all watch this podcast. I will put it in the notes about this guy who well, he was on there for a lot of reasons. There were so many reasons to watch that podcast. But he was talking about looking at the faces of people. And he said, if you can see the eyelids underneath the eye, okay, and that you have some lines up here, you might be open to talking about stuff. And that you usually can hear other people's opinions. And if you got these smile lines, it means that you spent a bunch of time having fun and all that. I thought that is a great way to understand people, because usually just right on the street I'll go, "Have you seen Sasquatch?" Well, I mean, it has to be on my mind to say it, you know. But I guess I'm just putting out there to everybody is, wow, are people so sick? Gag me with a fork talking about some of this stuff. Politics is one.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you've also found out that there's some stuff going to go down and come out that's going to shock people, that people have believed in for years.
Yep.
Yep.
So I'm pretty excited just to see it. I can't wait to find out what I believed in that I'm going to be shocked about. I don't know.
I do think you're right about different areas having different energies too, because when Kelly was talking about her area and the when I first went to her place the first time, I think I've been there a few times, but the first time I went, I was walking up to her door and there was an area on her property that I stepped on, I was standing on, and all of a sudden, I heard like thundering back and forth and back and forth. I felt movement back and forth. And then I heard women wailing, like crying, wailing. And apparently it was, I guess, I think Kelly said it was there'd been a massacre. It was a graveyard. And there were horses that were running back and forth across the top of the area. And I just thought that was really interesting. But you could still feel, kind of the oppression just in that area. And I think some towns or some places still hold some of that, energy that hasn't, even with all of us doing energy work, that is still there. And so I think in some of the rural, maybe in some of the pockets, it just, it's interesting how different places in the country hold different energies. Even like here, Gig Harbor versus Tacoma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
some of it I'm not really fond of, but mostly I love it. So,
Well, yeah. Oh my gosh, Gig Harbor is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I miss some of Tacoma. I do. You know,
Miss the
I like the
ocean.
North End. Yeah.
yeah, that's where I used to live, the North End.
Yeah. I love the energy of the North End.
I missed that. I don't know how we landed there, but we did. You know, I think Tom and I are both like, well, I don't know where we're gonna. How about there?
Uh-oh.
And I'm sure there's going to be another place down the road where we'll go. So, in these last moments, what would you like to say? If there's anything you want to say, tell people how we can find you if you want to be found. Um, Tell us anything you want at the end. Anything you want.
Buy the Laley books. It is, the website is laley.com. It's LAEHLI.com. Mine is intuitive medium kellyfitzgerald.com. Kelly is with an IE. It is really important that this project get out. I do believe it's very timely, and I do believe the kids are they're all we've got left, guys. Come on. We've got
Where did
we
Jody
really
go?
she left. She ran screaming from the building.
Oh,
Don't know where she went. There she is. No? Yeah, maybe.
there she is.
Yay, she's back.
Speaking of energy,
I thought the UFO got you.
I have no idea what happened,
That's all right. Well,
but
Jody,
I'm here.
it's just been awesome seeing you, and seeing you all your beautiful postings. Can you tell people how they can find your words?
Oh, on my page on Facebook is really, I think I'm up to 200 and I don't know, 10,000 followers, but it's Meditations and Musings by Jody Doty. I'm not doing readings currently because I'm still dealing with chemotherapy, but I'm really close to being done with that. So I'm not doing the readings, but you can find my words, my writing. I'm actually writing a second poetry book in
Oh,
addition to working with Kellie on the Lele project. So I'm hoping to have a book out next year. So my writing has really been my catharsis through a lot of really grief and medical things in the last 3 years. But that's where you can Meditations and Musings by Jody Doty, and my website is jodydoty jodydoty.com if you want to reach out to me for whatever reason to connect.
and her name is really Jody Doty, everybody.
It really is, Jody, my
It
favorite.
really is.
And I just appreciate all the times that I've listened to what you've had to say. And really always had a lot of fun sitting next to you whenever it was.
I know we miss you here,
Yeah,
but I know you're having fun there. So
I
keep
am.
doing keep spreading the joy wherever you are.
I'm spreading something. I don't know what. Well, thank you both for coming because it was just been really great. And I have no doubt that when it's time to talk about the movie, if I'm still doing Metaphysical Meltdown, this is like my favorite part of the week, for goodness sake. Um, so you guys can find me on YouTube and Facebook. You can find Metaphysical Meltdown right here on this page, but it's also on YouTube. And I do some frees once every about 2-3 weeks, or no, once like 2 or 3 times a week. How about that? 2 or 3 times a week I do free. So come on, I send some energy out. I'm a coder, and so my books are on my website, marybeckman.com. So come and find us, everybody. God bless everybody. I've been looking down to read what everybody has to say because they're all loving you. They're all saying thanks so much for coming on. Appreciated it. This is what it's all about, having a chat. And they're agreeing with you about that's hilarious before 10 a.m. about the rumor. And Sylvia was saying, love the conversation. The energy's off the hook today. I've been feeling too. When I woke up this morning, I went outside and sat down and I was just like, I love that boiling stuff. And if people, I hope people watched Amanda Lawrence today, who got on live and talked about how much information is going through the brain and how to help yourself go a little higher than that. And that was super cool. So God bless each one of you. Love you. And much thanks for coming.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.